There is an oil extracted from the seeds of the flax plant that has been used to preserve and protect wood for over 6,000 years. Archaeological evidence shows ancient Egyptians applied it to wooden furniture, tools, and structural beams to prevent decay and maintain beauty across generations. European craftsmen built entire guilds around its application, developing techniques that created furniture finishes lasting centuries with minimal maintenance. American colonists used it on everything from floor planks to ship decks because it penetrated deep into wood fibers, hardened into a protective polymer, and resisted water, heat, and wear better than any alternative available. That substance is linseed oil, and when properly applied in its raw or boiled form, it creates a wood finish that lasts 5 to 10 years between applications, costs approximately $8 per quart, and can be applied by anyone with a clean cloth in under 30 minutes. But in 1950, chemical companies introduced polyurethane and petroleum-based wood finishes that required specialized application, released toxic fumes during curing, and began failing within 18 months, necessitating complete refinishing. Those products cost $20 to $40 per quart, demand proper ventilation and safety equipment, and generate recurring sales because they do not last. Within 2 decades, linseed oil disappeared almost entirely from hardware store shelves and mainstream woodworking advice, not because it stopped working, not because safer alternatives performed better, because a finish you apply once every 7 years cannot compete commercially with products requiring annual reapplication that generate perpetual revenue streams for manufacturers who profit from planned obsolescence. Right now, the average homeowner spends between $150 and $300 every 18 to 24 months maintaining wood furniture and floors using commercial polishes, conditioners, and restoration products. That figure comes from consumer spending data on household wood care products compiled across national retail sales statistics. Dining tables require furniture polish every few months to maintain appearance. Hardwood floors need professional refinishing every 3 to 5 years at costs between $800 and $1,500 per room. Kitchen cabinets lose their finish and require repainting or restaining. Wooden cutting boards dry out and crack without regular oiling. All of this maintenance exists because modern wood finishes are designed to fail predictably, creating dependency cycles where you purchase the same products repeatedly to address problems that proper initial treatment would have prevented entirely. The wood itself is not the problem. Wood is dimensionally stable when properly sealed. The problem is surface treatments formulated to degrade quickly, forcing you back to the store every few months for products that provide temporary cosmetic improvement without genuine long-term protection. Let us go back to when wood finishing was understood as a permanent treatment rather than ongoing maintenance. In the 18th and 19th centuries, furniture makers finished wood using linseed oil exclusively. The process was simple and universal. Sand the wood smooth. Apply a generous coat of raw or boiled linseed oil with a cloth. Let it soak in for 20 to 30 minutes. Wipe off excess completely. Wait 24 hours. Apply a second coat. Repeat for 3 to 5 total coats depending on wood density and desired depth. Each coat penetrated deeper into the wood structure, filling pores and displacing moisture. As the oil oxidized and polymerized through exposure to air, it hardened into a flexible, water-resistant barrier bonded chemically to the wood fibers themselves. The finish was not a surface layer that could chip or peel. It was integrated protection that moved with the wood as it expanded and contracted with humidity changes. Furniture finished this way lasted generations. Floors withstood decades of foot traffic. The oil darkened wood slightly, enriching grain patterns and creating the warm patina associated with antique furniture. Maintenance required nothing more than occasional dusting. Every 7 to 10 years, apply 1 fresh coat of oil to renew the finish. Total cost per decade was under $5. Total labor was perhaps 2 hours spread across multiple pieces. This is not romantic nostalgia. This is documented in woodworking manuals, furniture conservation studies, and museum preservation protocols that still use linseed oil for restoring historical pieces because modern alternatives damage antique wood. The Smithsonian Institution published comprehensive guidelines on wood conservation. For non-display furniture and structural wood, raw linseed oil is recommended specifically because it penetrates deeply, remains reversible if future treatment is needed, and does not introduce synthetic chemicals that accelerate degradation. The British Museum uses linseed oil treatments on wooden artifacts dating back millennia. If the method preserves wood for museum curators protecting priceless historical objects, it certainly works for protecting your dining table. The chemistry is simple and stable. Linseed oil is a drying oil, meaning it polymerizes when exposed to oxygen. The unsaturated fatty acids in the oil cross link into solid chains that harden over days and weeks. The result is a tough, flexible, waterproof finish bonded at the molecular level to the wood surface. But here's where the story becomes uncomfortable for a multi-billion-dollar wood care products industry. Linseed oil costs $6 to $10 per quart. 1 quart treats approximately 100 square feet of wood depending on density. A typical dining table requires perhaps 4 ounces total across multiple coats. Cost per table is under $2. That table stays protected for 7 to 10 years. Compare that to furniture polish at $8 per bottle that lasts 6 to 8 applications, requiring repurchase every few months. Over 10 years, the Polish approach costs $120 to $160 for the same table. The linseed oil approach costs $2. The performance difference favors linseed oil overwhelmingly. Oil penetrates and protects. Polish sits on the surface, attracting dust and requiring constant reapplication. Oil lasts years. Polish lasts weeks. Oil costs pennies. Polish costs dollars monthly. The comparison is absurd when examined objectively, yet every hardware store devotes entire aisles to furniture polish and virtually no shelf space to linseed oil. Why? Because retailers stock products that generate repeat purchases. A customer who buys linseed oil once every decade is worthless compared to a customer who buys spray polish monthly. Polyurethane finishes, the dominant modern wood coating, create even worse economics for consumers. A quart of polyurethane costs $20 to $30. Application requires brushes or foam applicators, mineral spirits for cleanup, and proper ventilation due to toxic fumes. The finish dries hard and inflexible. It forms a surface layer separate from the wood. As wood expands and contracts with seasonal humidity changes, the polyurethane develops microscopic cracks. Water penetrates those cracks, gets trapped under the finish, and causes wood to swell and rot from beneath. Within 2 to 5 years, the finish looks cloudy, scratched, and worn. Refinishing requires sanding off the old polyurethane completely, a labor-intensive process generating dust and requiring orbital sanders. Then you apply new polyurethane and repeat the cycle. Over 20 years, you refinish 4 to 6 times at escalating cost and effort. Linseed oil requires 1 reapplication during that same period. Total labor is 1/10. Total cost is 1/20. The performance outcome is superior because oil moves with the wood instead of cracking on top of it. Here is exactly how you apply linseed oil properly to any wood surface. Purchase boiled linseed oil from a paint or hardware store. Boiled linseed oil is not actually boiled. It contains metallic dryers that accelerate curing from weeks to days. Raw linseed oil works identically but takes longer to cure. For most applications, boiled is preferable. Cost is typically $8 to $12 per quart. Clean the wood surface thoroughly. Remove old wax, polish, or grime using mineral spirits and fine steel wool. Let the wood dry completely. Sand lightly with 220 grit sandpaper to open pores. Wipe away dust with a tack cloth. Pour a small amount of linseed oil into a bowl. Dip a cotton cloth into the oil and wring out excess. Rub the oil onto the wood following the grain direction. Apply liberally. Let the wood absorb oil for 20 to 30 minutes. You will see dry patches appear where oil soaks in completely. Apply more oil to those areas. After 30 minutes, wipe off all excess oil with a clean dry cloth. Do not leave oil pooled on the surface. Excess oil stays tacky and attracts dust. Let the first coat cure for 24 hours. The surface should feel dry to the touch. Apply a second coat following the same process. Repeat for a total of 3 to 5 coats depending on wood type. Dense hardwoods like oak and maple need fewer coats. Porous softwoods like pine need more. Each coat builds protection and depth. After the final coat, let the piece cure for 1 full week before use. During this time, the oil is hardening into its final polymer state. Avoid placing objects on the surface or exposing it to water. After 1 week, the finish is fully cured and ready for normal use. The wood will have a soft satin sheen, slightly darker than untreated wood, with grain patterns visibly enhanced. Run your hand across the surface. It feels smooth but not slick like polyurethane. The wood feels like wood, not plastic. Maintenance is nearly non-existent. Dust regularly with a dry cloth. For spills, wipe immediately with a damp cloth. The oil finish resists water penetration for hours, giving you plenty of time to clean up. Unlike polyurethane that shows every scratch, linseed oil finishes wear gracefully. Minor scratches blend into the overall patina. Every 7 to 10 years, or when the wood begins looking dry, apply 1 fresh coat of linseed oil following the same process. This takes perhaps 30 minutes and costs under $2. The wood is renewed completely. This maintenance schedule continues indefinitely. A table finished in 1920 with linseed oil can still be maintained the same way in 2025. The method never becomes obsolete because the chemistry never changes. Apply this to hardwood floors with equally dramatic results. Clean floors thoroughly. Apply boiled linseed oil with a lamb's wool applicator or cloth mop. Work in small sections, applying oil liberally and wiping excess after 30 minutes. Complete the entire floor in 1 session to avoid uneven absorption. Let cure for 48 hours before walking on it. Apply a second coat after 1 week. The floor will have a beautiful hand-rubbed appearance that resists water and wear far better than polyurethane. A homeowner in Vermont finished his kitchen floor with linseed oil in 1998. 27 years later, the floor shows normal wear in high traffic areas but has never been refinished. He applies 1 fresh coat every 8 years, spending approximately 4 hours and $30. A neighbor with polyurethane floors has refinished twice, spending over $3,000 combined for professional work. Both floors receive identical traffic. One costs $30 per decade. The other costs $1,500. The linseed oil floor looks better because it ages naturally instead of degrading artificially. Use linseed oil on cutting boards, butcher blocks, and any wood exposed to food. Unlike mineral oil that requires monthly application, linseed oil penetrates deeply and lasts months between treatments. Apply a generous coat, let it soak in overnight, wipe off excess. The wood is protected from moisture and bacterial growth. Cutting boards treated this way last decades instead of years. The oil is food safe once fully cured. It has been used on food contact surfaces for centuries without issue. Compare that to mystery chemicals in commercial cutting board oils that provide temporary shine but no real protection. The knowledge did not disappear because it stopped being effective. It was systematically displaced by products that generate recurring revenue through planned failure. Your great-grandparents finished wood with linseed oil because it worked permanently. Furniture builders trained for years learning oil application techniques that produced finishes lasting lifetimes. For centuries, this was standard practice. Then chemical companies introduced petroleum-based alternatives marketed as modern improvements. These products offered faster initial drying but shorter lifespan. They required specialized application equipment that professionals controlled, creating dependency on refinishing services. The entire industry shifted from permanent solutions to maintenance treadmills. Consumers were taught that wood needs constant care when properly treated wood needs almost nothing. If this just revealed a $2 solution that protects wood for 10 years instead of monthly products costing $10 each, share it with someone refinishing furniture or paying for floor restoration. Every person who uses linseed oil is one less customer buying disposable wood care products monthly. Every piece of furniture treated properly is a permanent break from the maintenance cycle that benefits manufacturers exclusively. The next forgotten method addresses something even more fundamental about metal preservation, and what it reveals will change how you think about rust prevention that lasts decades, using materials costing less than the aerosol products that fail within months.